Link and his allies were saved from the dangers of the Elden Caves by a mysterious youth named Sheik. Joined by their new ally, Impa's troops exited the caves and emerged in Faron Woods. There, they found a hidden village overrun with monsters. While Link and Impa wanted to continue their search for Zelda, they could not ignore the plight of the villagers. Without hesitation, they sprang into battle.
Hyrule Warriors Walkthrough, Part 3. This is going to be, I think it's the Great Deku Tree. I can't remember the name of the level. Yeah, anyway, this is going to be the third level, and it's where you first meet Lana, who you think is Zelda with the way that the story progresses, but you find out it isn't, which isn't really that surprising. So anyway, when you start off, you'll be right at this bridge near the beginning. And you'll just want to push forward while all the people are talking and kill as many of the people as you can, kill this outpost captain, just do basically what you normally do. This is going to be one of the, probably one of the fewer maps that you actually take over nearly 100% of the map before you actually beat it. And I don't think you have to, but it does make it easier. It's always good to run around and destroy any concentrated groups of enemies that you see, just so you can thin it out for your own forces. And this is also the level where you get the bow and arrow. And to get the bow and arrow, just run south here. You can pick it up before they're even finished talking. Just open up the chest, and if you wait a while, they'll tell you, hey, I think that there's a chest and a bow south of the city somewhere. Go look for it. And of course, they don't really tell you where it is, but it's pretty obvious it's that little hidden spot that's on the bottom left of the map. So this bow and arrow works like any other bow and arrow in Zelda games, except you don't have limited arrows to shoot, and taking out the Deku Babas is exactly the same as any other Lego game. Just shoot at them and they die. These things kind of remind me of the piranha plants that were in the Super Mario Sunshine, those paint plant things. I can't remember what they were called, but they were a lot of fun. I don't know what it is with Nintendo and wanting to have piranha plants, where you have a really long stalk and a big head that tries to eat you. Anyway, try to take over this south square once you get here. You probably could let your own people take this over if you didn't want to focus on this, but it's still best to just help them. Sometimes you can get the health bar of the keep all the way down to where the keep boss spawns, and then you can let your people deal with the boss, but most of the time it's best just to do it on your own. Because, especially in later levels, your own army is pretty useless, and the only thing they're good at doing is keeping the enemy army from getting to your base. Not quickly anyway. And this level has an extreme annoyance, and they're called Gibdos, and I don't know why they called them Gibdos. I can't remember which Zelda game Gibdos came from. I think they were in the first one, but I can't think of any others. Basically, they're re-deads with a different name. They stun you, and they are really annoying, and they're going to be the special enemy of this level. You will want to kill as many of them as you can, though, as long as the conditions permit it, of course. That way you can pick up the Gibdo scraps, I think is the material that they drop, and those are used for quite a few upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, before you start a level, you will want to look at all the upgrades and the badges that you have available and decide if it's worth it for this level. Usually getting things like faster running speeds, which is the Furore's Wind one, and especially getting allowed to use more than one potion per match is going to be extremely helpful. And that's some stuff that you will want to look at before you go into the match, and that's just going to give you an edge over what might otherwise be difficult. So here is one of the first Gibdos you'll run into, and he stunned me, and it was kind of like, now I have to deal with this again. Every time they do their stunning attack, they will have their weakness bar pop up for a few seconds, and if you get up close to them, you'll want to be really careful because they'll do this area of effect stunning attack, and if you get stuck in there, it's really a nuisance. The stun won't wear off until after their weakness meter wears off, and you might have 4 or 5 smaller enemies come up and punch you, and they'll stun you for a few more seconds too. But Gibdos luckily aren't too difficult to kill, especially if you chose the Fire Rod for this level, because the weakness of this level is fire, and right now the only character with a fire weapon is Link with his Fire Rod. Fire Rod is actually pretty fun. I think it's a pretty cool weapon. It looks awesome, some of the special attacks you can do, but it's not as smooth as a sword, and it really does feel clunky. I kind of wish... a lot of the weapons in this game feel clunky. They don't feel so fluid as they could. Anyway, once you take out that keep, you'll want to come down to this one, and you'll get a few more objectives that'll tell you which keeps to take. Basically, you'll just want to take over the entire bottom part of the map if you can, and it'll say here that a bunch of Gibdos are going to spawn and they're going to try to go to the Deku tree, and the Deku tree is going to be your main base for this level, so if that falls, you lose the match and you'll have to do it over again. So, try not to let that happen, but first, head on over to the bottom right side of the map, try to defeat these Gibdos quickly. To do that, just wait for them to do their stunning attack, move in, and try to lessen their weakness meter so you can do the big super powerful attack that almost kills them in one hit. There's going to be 2 Gibdos down in the bottom right, and there's also going to be 2 Gibdos up at the top coming down to the Deku tree. I decided to stay here when I killed this one and tried to take over this keep just because I had already gotten the health bar pretty darn low. So if you don't have the health bar that low and you feel like you can't risk taking this and letting the other Gibdos get to the Deku tree, then it's not a big deal if you leave this, you can always come back to it. But I do like to take over any keeps that I can as quickly as I can because that just helps big time. I think behind that keep there's another kind of pathway you can see. I think there's a chest there that has... I can't remember what item is in it, but I'm pretty sure there's a chest there, so I don't think I go to it in this video because it completely left my mind, but if you're playing this game, just go down there and see what is there. A lot of times in this game, when you capture a keep that is considered secondary, which means it's not necessary to finish the game to capture, then a chest will spawn in the middle of that keep, and sometimes it'll have useful items like heart pieces, and especially heart pieces, because again, if you collect 4 heart pieces, as with any Zelda game, then you get a brand new heart that you get to use in any of these matches. 1 extra heart doesn't make a big difference, and I'm not even sure having 5 extras would, but any amount of extra health you can get is health that you should take. So when you're finally done defeating the Gibdos, I believe that I'm trying to guess what's going to happen next. I think the next step is that the Deku tree is going to get lit on fire. And this is because Wizro is extremely annoying, and he's going to be one of those enemies that always runs, and you'll finally kill him at the end of the game, probably. Same with Volga, the dragon warrior guy. I mean, this game has so many anime, Japanese RPG type things in it. It's cool, but it kind of bugs me because Zelda never really came off to me as complete pure anime Japanese RPG, and in this game, it's developed by a company that isn't Nintendo. A lot of the characters and a lot of the fights and a lot of the story stuff, it doesn't feel very Zelda. It feels like an anime show with Zelda aspects thrown in there. And it's done well. I mean, I do like the story, and the game is so much fun. I love this game, but I still think they could have toned it down a little bit on the anime aspect. Especially with the way Lana is dressed as a character. It doesn't feel as fantasy as Zelda normally does. I don't know, it may be, maybe I can't explain it exactly what I mean, but if you like anime, I guess it's not a big deal. So once again, pick up any materials you find, and the gold Skulltula will spawn over on the left side of the map. I believe it's to the north, I can't remember right now, but I'm going to have a separate video with gold Skulltula locations, so don't think that that's going to be in this video. And the only reason I'm going to have a separate video is because I don't really think it's worth going after collectibles while you're trying to do this on a difficulty like hard or normal. I just think instead it's better to focus on finishing the match and then come back later, blast through it on easy, get all the collectibles, and there you go, you're done. I mean, some people may like that challenge where you try to get every chest, every heart piece, every Skulltula on hard difficulty and still try to survive, and if you do like that challenge, go ahead, but this is a walkthrough, and because it's a walkthrough, I feel like I should choose the easiest or most efficient ways of getting through the game, and I think the most efficient way is to ignore the gold Skulltula until you can come back later on easy difficulty and get it there. If you're just playing this game on easy difficulty because you just like to play games, you want to blast through armies and just kill everything and feel like a warrior, then you could probably go wander around there for a while, find it on your own. If you hear scratching, it sounds similar to the scratching that's in Ocarina of Time when a Skulltula is near. If you hear that, then that means you're close to a Skulltula, and it's glowing on the floor. It's not very big, but it's kind of a large glowing spider on the floor. It's not difficult to miss. Or it is kind of difficult to miss. It's also not difficult to miss sometimes because it's in a weird spot. Anyway, while I was rambling on about the Skulltulas, you'll have to get the Great Fairy to put out the fire in the Deku tree. And the Great Fairies are gonna be your Deus Ex Machina, or whatever the heck they call it, of this game. And it's still cool to see these cutscenes. I'm not complaining, I just think it's kind of interesting. It's also kind of disturbing you don't get any of the powers for yourself. Like, why can't I call on the clouds to make rain whenever I want? Because if I could play this game, battle armies in the rain, and watch all the blood stream down into a river, that'd be great. But this is also Zelda. So when the Deku tree is saved, you're going to have a cuckoo right here. I don't know what this chicken is doing there. I think if you attack him enough, he'll attack you, and there is some way to get them to help you. But I haven't bothered with that, even though I love the cuckoos. They're so cool. Anyway, now that the Great Deku Tree is finished, you'll want to go around, now that the Great Deku Tree is saved, you'll want to go around the map and try to pick up some of the keeps that you haven't captured. So for this one right here, I walked right past it just to get to the ferry, but I'm gonna take this over. And the keep boss is inside here. And I'm having a hard time finding him. This Gibdo is not the keep boss, but leaving special enemies alive is a really good way to lose keeps, so if you run through an army and you really need to get somewhere quickly, I still think it's worth taking the time to at least kill the special enemies, because your army will have a lot easier time with the regular ones. And the only people in your army that can really manage these special enemies are your heroes like Sheik and Impa, people like that, and also the Hyrulean captains. But even then, they're just weak enough that they will fail, so it forces you to come back and save them sometimes. And that's just how all these games are. It's kind of weird that you can play as Impa and destroy everybody, and then Link can't kill a Gibdo for crap. And you can turn right around at the end of the level, play as Link, and then kill the Gibdo, and Impa can't kill it at all. So I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of the whole, oh, everybody but you is weak in these games, and it would be really boring if your whole army just raffle stomped everybody, but I kind of wish they would balance it in such a way where it felt like your people weren't useless. And I don't think there's a game that I've played that has managed that just yet. Besides maybe The World Ends With You, that did a pretty good job. Anyway, I am rambling way too much about stuff that doesn't really matter. So for the final keeps, when you do take them over, you will eventually end up at Wizrow, who is on the top left here. You don't have to actually take over any of these keeps to get to him, and if you do get to him, you can just walk right up to him. Then the final boss of this level will spawn, and you can try to defeat him before you lose all of your own keeps. But as I've said before, it's way better just to take over some keeps if you're there, and it makes it easier on yourself, it makes it harder on the enemy, and it lessens your chances of losing. Especially when you don't have to spend so much time running back and forth trying to save keeps you already have, or trying to save people who are guarding those keeps, then you don't really have to worry as much about the time limit that you have in each level. And even though the time limit is like 60 minutes long, it's still good to try to finish these as quickly as you can. These Gibdos take a while to kill. They're so annoying. So if you are having a hard time with Gibdos, kind of stand back from them and let them attack first, and then try to move in as soon as their weakness meter comes up. So I believe this is one of those optional keeps that you don't really have to take over. And that chest spawned, and I don't think I actually picked it up. I think I completely ignored it. And that happens a lot while playing this game. I will see something that I really should have gotten, but I completely forget about it because I'm focusing on everything else other than the chest. So inside that chest might have been a heart container. If it was, then you'll know where it is, and I'll have to go back and get it. So once you finally get inside this enemy base, just try to take it over. Wizrow will disappear almost immediately after you show up, and if you do take this over, you're probably going to lose it right after, but it's good just to have it for the extra reinforcements, because guess who you have to fight with the bow and arrow? It rhymes with slingshot. No, it does not. It is Ghoma, the queen spider of the forest, and probably the sworn enemy of the great Deku tree. Now if you can't figure out now what her weak spot is, then I'm gonna guess you've never played Zelda before. So shoot her in the eyeball, but you can't shoot her in the eyeball right away. If you try to do it right now, she'll just block with her front mandibles. So what you have to do is wait for one of her laser attacks to finish, and her eyeball will open up all wide and she'll be kind of stunned, and then you'll be able to shoot it, come on in, and whittle down that weakness bar. Now when you get her health down far enough, she's going to teleport to a different part on the map, and you're probably going to get her health down before you can actually get her weakness bar down all the way. And if you do get her weakness bar down all the way, then I think the lowest health she can go to at this stage is about half. And I think she actually teleports a little bit before I get her to half health. So this will probably depend on the difficulty you're playing on and other factors. Well, another one of her attacks is when she jumps up and slams back down, but she also jumps up and teleports to the center of the map at the Great Deku Tree, and that's why I walked right into her with that first jump, because I thought she was going to the Great Deku Tree, but she was just trying to kill me. If your hearts ever get low, remember you have a potion, and if your hearts get really, really low, don't try to stay and drink the potion, try to run away and find your army, and then try to figure out your potion drinking inside your army. It's just better to be surrounded by people who are your allies than it is to be surrounded by enemies and have that one extra hit that ends up killing you. So when you're in the Great Deku Tree, you will want to get here as quickly as you can, because if this falls again, you lose the match, and you just have to follow the exact same steps as you did before. I don't think she'll teleport again when she's in here. She'll just stay until either you die or she dies, and I don't think the Deku Tree can fall until you actually do. But the more allies she kills, the more that health bar will fall too. So just get her, get the weakness bar all the way down, do some colossal damage to her. I'm actually really surprised I killed her as quickly as I did. First time I did this, it took a lot longer. And that'll be it for this level. And I do want to mention item smithing. You will unlock that after this level, and that allows you to take a more powerful attack weapon and add a power-up like strength or extra fire damage, and add that power-up from a weaker attack weapon to the stronger one, assuming you have available sockets. The tutorial inside the game is pretty good, but I'll probably be going over it in the next video. And as I said, that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
For generations, Hyruleans have told the tale of the war across the ages. This is how it begins. Deep in the forests, far from mortal eyes, a great sorceress watched over the balance of the Triforce. Through her magic, she could see across ages, able to read the fates of all who lived, but never interfering. That is, until a unique soul caught her attention. The soul of the hero of legend, eternally reborn when Hyrule's need is greatest. Through her powers, the sorceress should have seen that the hero was bound to another. Instead, she saw only a soul that was unlike any she had known. And while the sorceress was preoccupied, a fragment of darkness, locked in its prison, saw an opportunity. The whispering darkness wormed its way into her heart. It pushed the light away and warped her curiosity into a desperate desire to possess the legendary hero's soul. Of course, this evil had its own desires. To use the Triforce to resurrect itself and conquer Hyrule once again. Having pushed the light from her heart, the darkness compelled her to open the Gate of Souls, the doorway of time itself. Monsters from across the ages pour through the gate. bringing ruin to the land of Hyrule once more.